Hi, and welcome to the Jim Dandy Audio X-Ray, where we look inside one song and examine its production using Logic Pro. Today we're going to look at the song Do Something Good. Let's listen to just a little bit of that track in its full before we take it apart. All right, so there's that song. It really just started first with a simple guitar riff, which sounded something like this. To which I added some bass. And of course some drums to give it a little bit of drive. And then we add a little surf-style rhythm guitar. And then to fill in the space between, we have some organs. And last I added a few vocals. Don't buy the lies, they've got nothing on you. You're so arrived that there's nothing to do. I love you bad and so misunderstood. Why don't you do something good? So a fairly straightforward, simple song, not a lot of different elements there, but I want to spend a little bit of time just talking about this drum group and the sounds that we got in there. So those drums are actually comes from the Logic's drummer plus one drum loop that I've added in. We'll look at that. To do that, I'm just going to open the tracking project next. So here's the tracking project. You can see that this region here, or this track here with these regions, these are the drums. I've already exported it or transformed it into MIDI, but originally it was a drummer track. I'm just going to pull up a drummer track here and add that in. Now, if any of you have used Drummer, it's both a very useful, good sounding tool, but if you used it for a little bit, you'll notice that after a while, everything starts sounding pretty much the same. So I found a couple of things that I did that helped change that up a little bit. First thing that I do when I call up the drummer, it has some stock settings. And here, if we look at some of those settings here, the first thing that I tend to do is I change the drum kit. Here, the default for Gavin, the drummer, is the Brooklyn drums. In this song, I actually kept the drums, but I changed it over to the producer kit. So if you come down to the bottom of the list, click producer kits, and you will see here is the Brooklyn kit as well, but it is Brooklyn Plus. The plus simply means that it creates a track stack of those drums. What this means is that when you export this into your mix section, it will export, you can export it into as if it was a fully mic'd kit. And you can export the different components from the snare top and bottom to the overheads to individual toms, etc., etc. And then when you're doing the mix, you can then mix each individual mic and tailor the sound more to the needs of the song. The other thing that you'll notice with this is here is a drum kit, and each region, at the end of each region, if we just listen to this generic drums, the stock drum kit provided, as we get to the end of each region, what we'll get is it will automatically add in a fill. There's our fill. And one thing that you'll see, especially here, if you compare the drums that I used here and the fill, where that region ends, I've offset that. And the difference with that offset, here is the standard stock with the fill coming at the end of the bar. If we switch that around to pulling it just off the bar, we get a nice break without having to do anything. In fact, the drummer will do that automatically for us. And then the third thing that I'll do often with using the drummer is, if we call up the controls here, there's a little section under kick and snare, and it has an option of follow. Follow means that it will listen to one of the other tracks and adapt the kick and the snare to match that. So if we took this generic snare, had it follow the lead guitar, so if we look at these two regions here it is with the stock position automated. If we ask it to follow the lead guitar, we can see that it changes the rhythm. So here it is. That's just with the automated following its own pattern. If we change it to the lead guitar, this is what we end up with. Something that's already more in line with the sound of the song. What we need to do is we need to bend the will of the automated drummer to match the needs of the song rather than its pre-programmed algorithm. So if we add the lead guitar and listen to it following with it not following that track. Sort of an awful mess. And if we have it follow the lead guitar, suddenly it starts sounding like it's playing alongside the guitar. So those are the three things that I tend to use to pull the drummer into a sound that's going to be workable for a track. And then with this song, of course, the only other thing that we have here is I've pulled in a beat, which is just a drum loop. That drum loop here adds in a little bit more drive to this track and fills in some of the space. This is the tracking session, so it's not mixed, but if we still listen to it here, we can hear very distinctly these two sounds coming together. And if we take all of that, mix it together, and listen to that rhythm section, this is what we end up with. Adding in the bass to that. Now we have something that can carry through the whole song, and so if we add in the other components to that, this is what we'll end up with. So we've been listening to the song in its parts. Let's come back to listening to the song in its complete, mixed, finalized, mastered version. Thank you for watching. Here is Do Something Good.